Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Last week, Ark Invest shared their Big Ideas 2021 report. And in that report, Cathy Wood shared her 2021 forecast on the industries that she believes have disruption innovation potential and are also likely to exponentially grow in the coming years. So in today's video, I'll be sharing with you the 12 industries that Cathy Wood shared in her 2021 forecast. What is Ark Invest Big Ideas 2021? This report is Ark Invest annual research report, which has started since 2017. This marks the 5th annual report that Ark Invest has released. And for this annual research report, Ark Invest highlights the latest developments in innovation and research conclusions. Ark Invest has asset under management or AUM at $29.3 billion as of September 2020. And the company focuses on disruptive technologies and invests in innovative companies that apply these disruptive technologies. This is the performance of one of the funds that Ark Invest has. As of the 31st of December 2020, this Ark Invest fund has managed to generate 36.39% annualized return since inception. That is a very solid number considering the size of Ark Invest. Let's take a look at the 12 industries that Ark Invest and Cathy Wood believes that are likely to disrupt the world and grow exponentially in the coming years. The first industry is deep learning, and it's also a form of artificial intelligence or AI. What deep learning can do is it can automate the creation of software which could turbocharge every industry. What this means is that with deep learning together with artificial intelligence, in the near future, these machines can help us write most of the code for our software. Imagine what that could do for us in the future. Some examples which could benefit from deep learning is self-driving cars and consumer apps. And what Ark Invest believes is that deep learning could potentially add $30 trillion to the global equity market capitalization during the next 15 to 20 years. To give you some context, the total global equity market cap as of right now stands at about $89.5 trillion. By potentially being able to add another $30 trillion to the global equity market cap, deep learning represents a huge opportunity for us as investors in the stock market. And to give you even more context, over the past 2 decades, internet has added around $30 trillion to equity market cap globally. But just in 2020 alone, deep learning has already created $2 trillion in market capitalization. And Ark Invest believes that this number is likely to grow exponentially in the future. The second industry that Ark Invest believes that has the potential to disrupt the future is the reinvention of data centers. Right now, data centers are switching to cheaper, faster, and more power-efficient processors. Traditionally, Intel was used in these data centers, but there's an increasing adoption of other processors such as ARM and GPUs. And these processors are proving to be cheaper, faster, and more power-efficient compared to their Intel counterparts. Ark Invest predict that ARM and RISC-V will move from 0% market share in 2020 to 71% of the server market in 2030. AWS or Amazon Web Services is the current leader in cloud computing, and the company launched its ARM CPU in 2020 and is likely to migrate most of its servers to ARM-based processors. And Ark Invest forecasts that ARM server revenue could scale 100-fold by 2030. From less than $1 billion in 2020 to $100 billion in 2030. That's another industry that Ark Invest believes has huge potential for growth in the future. The third industry is virtual world and AR. And these are the future of gaming. Based on their research, Ark Invest believes that the average time spent playing video games will increase from 1.1 hours per person to 1.5 hours in the next 5 years. And Ark Invest believes that with the shift in the video game monetization models, the virtual world and AR industry is better able to monetize their platforms moving forward. Ark Invest forecasts that the AR and VR markets will grow at a 59% compounded annual rate for the next 5 years, from $3 billion to $28 billion in 2025. The fourth industry is the digital wallet industry, and it's a potential $4.6 trillion market, and it is likely to disrupt traditional banking. In fact, it is already disrupting the traditional banks. Based on the research, Ark Invest believes that the value per digital wallet users right now is valued anywhere between $250 to $1,900 currently, but it could potentially scale up to $20,000 per user by 2025. If we take the digital wallet users in the US, which is 230 million, multiplied by Ark Invest forecast in 2025, which is $19,000, this will give us $4.6 trillion. And that is how Ark Invest arrived at the number for the potential market size of the digital wallet industry. And in China, where mobile payments really took off, mobile payments make up almost 2.5 times its GDP. And it mentions that the volume of mobile payments in China has exploded more than 15-fold in just 5 years, from roughly $2 trillion in 2015 to an estimated $36 trillion, nearly 3 times the size of China's GDP in 2020. This shows the potential of the digital wallet industry. And if we go back to the US, digital wallet users are surpassing the number of deposit account holders of the largest financial institutions. JP Morgan Chase deposit account holders totaled roughly 60 million, while Cash App's and Venmo's annual active users, or AAU, was 59 million and 69 million respectively. The annual active users on Cash App and Venmo is starting to overtake the numbers from the deposit account holders in JP Morgan Chase, which is one of the largest financial institutions in the US. The fifth industry which Ark Invest believes has huge potential for growth is Bitcoin. As of the filming of this video, Bitcoin is appearing to be gaining the trust of the mainstream. Some companies are actually even considering using it as cash on their balance sheets. Some examples include Square and MicroStrategy. Based on their research, Ark Invest found out that more people are holding on to their Bitcoin for longer periods of time, and roughly 60% of Bitcoin supply had not moved in more than a year. One way to interpret this data is that more and more people are holding on to Bitcoin for longer periods of time, which might mean they are holding it for longer term investments rather than short-term speculative trades. And because they are holding Bitcoin for longer periods of time, this can also mean that people are more confident that Bitcoin is able to hold its value over time. The increasing acceptance and credibility coupled with limited supply is likely to drive the price of Bitcoin even higher in the coming future. And in their annual report, Ark Invest shows that Bitcoin continues to gain credibility from officials, financial institutions, institutional investors themselves, and public companies. With the increasing adoption of Bitcoin, and with Bitcoin's limited supply, Ark Invest believes that the future is bright for Bitcoin in the coming years. The sixth industry is electric vehicles, and EV sticker prices are fast approaching that of gas-powered cars. Because right now, battery is the most expensive component in EVs, and the innovation in battery technology is likely to drive costs down further. Ark Invest did a comparison model. The company compared a like-for-like EV to a Toyota Camry in 2019. The like-for-like EV cost $50,000 in 2019 compared to the Toyota Camry, which cost $24,000. Back in 2019, a like-for-like EV with a 350-mile range cost more than twice that of the Toyota Camry. But in 2021, the price for a like-for-like EV will be closer to $39,000. And the Toyota Camry is at $25,000. And by 2023, Ark Invest believes that the sticker price for a like-for-like EV with a 350-mile range is likely to be same as the sticker price for a Toyota Camry. And in 2025, the price for the EV is likely to be below that of a Toyota Camry, $18,000 compared to $26,000 of the Toyota Camry. And Ark Invest believes that EV sales is likely to increase 20-fold from 2.2 million in 2020 to 40 million in 2025. The seventh industry is automation. The development of automation in the coming years is likely to add 5% or $1.2 trillion to US GDP in the next 5 years. The current level of automation in the US took about 25 years, but Ark Invest believes that the rate of automation is likely to be 5 times the previous levels during the next 5 years. The company also believes there are benefits to automation in the form of higher wages, lower prices, higher margins, and higher investments. The higher wages will benefit employees, lower prices will benefit consumers, higher margins will benefit companies, and the higher investments will create a cycle. And this will create many economic benefits. The eighth industry is autonomous ride-hailing. With autonomous ride-hailing, it can reduce the cost of transportation to 1/10 the average cost of a taxi today. Adjusted for inflation, the cost to own and operate a personal car has not changed much. And Ark Invest estimates that with scale, autonomous taxis will cost consumers 25 cents per mile. The company also compares human ride-hailing versus autonomous ride-hailing. And right now, the average price per mile in China is 50 cents, but with autonomous ride-hailing, this could reduce to 25 cents. And this represents a 50% reduction in prices. The average price per mile for human ride-hailing in the US is $2, but with autonomous ride-hailing, the average price per mile will fall to 25 cents. And that represents a huge 88% reduction in prices. And currently, there are 3 main ways that companies are using for self-driving cars. The first is using camera-based, and that is what Tesla is doing. The second is using LiDAR and HD mapping, which is what Alphabet or Waymo is doing. And the third is using infrastructure sensors, which Pi2 and Apollo is using. And Ark Invest believes that camera-based and LiDAR and HD mapping has the most potential for scaling. The company also believes that ride-hailing platforms will generate more than $1 trillion in profits per year by 2030. Automakers and fleet owners could enjoy profits of $250 billion and $70 billion respectively. So the autonomous ride-hailing industry is another industry to pay attention to. The ninth industry is delivery drones. With lower battery costs and autonomous technology, it will drive delivery drones. And delivery drones go beyond just food and packages. It can even start to transport people in the future. Ark Invest forecasts that drones could deliver a substantial share of e-commerce shipping by 2030. And the pandemic has further accelerated this trend. And Ark estimated that at some point during the next 5 years, drones will deliver more than 20% of parcel shipments. So the company is predicting that global parcel drone delivery revenue will be around $15 billion in 2025 and $115 billion in 2030. In addition to packages, drones also should accelerate the shift to food delivery. And because of the pandemic, online food delivery sales grew by more than 40% globally in 2020. And it is estimated that global food delivery revenue will be $18 billion in 2025 and $116 billion in 2030. Drone delivery platforms will generate around $275 billion in delivery revenue by 2030. So that's another potentially disruptive industry. The next industry is Orbital Aerospace. Rocket reusability could lower the cost of launches drastically. And with the lower launch cost, it could lead to higher number of satellites launched. And Ark Invest believes that Orbital Aerospace is a big idea. And for the Orbital Aerospace industry, it's not just about space travel. It also includes satellite connectivity and hypersonic point-to-point travel. For satellite connectivity, roughly 50% of the global population still lacks internet connectivity. But with more satellites with the innovation of the Orbital Aerospace industry, cloud computing can go global. And on top of that, Orbital Aerospace industry could revolutionize commercial flights. Long-haul flight times could collapse from 10 plus hours to 2 to 3 hours. And with this greater connectivity, the global economy could transform. Ark Invest believes that satellite broadband revenues could approach $10 billion per year in the US and $40 billion globally during the next 5 to 10 years. As of right now, Ark Invest believes that there are about 42 million Americans without access to broadband. And if you divide it by the people per household, which is at 2.6, and you multiply by the average monthly broadband bill, which is $50, multiply by the months per year, which is 12, we will arrive at a number of around $10 billion. And that is how Ark Invest arrived at the number of $10 billion for satellite broadband revenue per year. And for globally, Ark Invest estimated that around 3 billion people without access to broadband. Similar, if we divide it by the number of people per household, which is 5, multiplied by the monthly broadband bill, which is $5, multiplied by the months per year, 12, we'll arrive at a number of around $40 billion. So including satellite connectivity and hypersonic flights, the orbital aerospace industry is expected to exceed $370 billion annually. The 11th industry is 3D printing. 3D printing not only reduces time between design and production, it also reduces complexity at a fraction of the cost of traditional manufacturing. And Ark Invest believes that 3D printing is still in its infancy. And the company believes that 3D printing for end-use parts is the next frontier. Right now, 3D printing is mostly used for traditional manufacturing. But with the improvement of technology and increasing adoption for 3D printing could move outside of the traditional manufacturing. And that is where there's greater market potential for 3D printing. Ark Invest believes that the 3D printing industry is likely to grow annually at a rate of around 60% from $12 billion in 2020 to $120 billion by 2025. The 12th industry is genomics. Genomics include long-read sequencing, multi-cancer screening, and cell and gene therapy. It includes the next generation DNA sequencing, which is the driving force behind the genomic revolution. And long-read sequencing provides a more complete picture of the human genome. Ark Invest believes that revenue is likely to grow at an 82% annual rate from $250 million in 2020 to roughly $5 billion in 2025. The next is multi-cancer screening. The rapid cost decline of next generation sequencing, NGS, is enabling multi-cancer screening. The company noted that costs have fell 20-fold from $30,000 in 2015 to $1,500 today, and is expected to drop another 80+% to $250 in 2025. The advancement of multi-cancer screening could avert 66,000 deaths per year in the US, and the multi-cancer screening market could potentially scale to $150 billion in the US alone. The next is cell and gene therapy. Cell and gene therapy utilizes artificial intelligence, gene editing, and next-generation sequencing, NGS, and Ark Invest believes that failure rates and time to market should fall with this advancement of technology. Ark Invest noted that to date, the FDA has approved only 10 gene therapies. But as of year-end of 2020, roughly 170 gene therapies are likely to be approved and commercialized during the next decade. And the revenue from cell therapy innovation could add an additional $150 billion. These are the 12 industries that Ark Invest believes has the potential for disruptive innovation. Even though Ark Invest did not specifically name-check the companies in these industries that they are taking a look at, with a quick Google search, you'll be able to find out the different companies that Ark Invest is looking at in these 12 industries. There There is another alternative. You could choose to invest in the funds that Ark Invest has. For example, for the genome industry, Ark Invest has their own genome-specific fund for retail investors like you and I to invest in. If you have gained a clearer picture on the industries which could have the potential to disrupt in the future, do drop a like on this video because it will really help the channel grow and allow me to produce more content such as this. And if you are new to this channel and haven't already subscribed, make sure you subscribe to this channel because each week I release new videos about investing, trading and the stock market. I'll see you in those other videos to your financial success.